Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.
Oscar BEVIS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. A night of shocks, Frank. I suppose we might as well start with at the top, Lewis Ritson, Miguel Vazquez. The immediate talk going to be on the scorecard, and one certain scorecard especially. Stinks a little bit.
Yeah, terrible scorecard, awful. Unfortunate. Well, Lewis Ritson got the win. Obviously, he's our fighter, but it's Miguel Vazquez went in there and did the job he was here to do. So, but we've got to. I think we've got to learn from this as a sport and see how we can improve things, because it wasn't great. It's not, things like that aren't great for the sport.
I mean, we've had fighters come over here before and felt like they ain't got the rub of the green, but is this the tipping point of things? Because I think if we're being personally honest, this could be one of the worst scorecards that since I've started watching boxing, I think I've seen in this country. Yeah,
look, it does make it difficult, because you look at other locations. People used to say things about Germany back in the day, boxing fighters going to other countries. But I think we have to look back. I'm sure the British Boxing Board of Control will look back at it as well. Unfortunately, we can't speak on their behalf, but we'll have to see what happens and go from there. But I thought Vazquez deserved to win, but Ritson got the result, and we have to go on from here. I'm sure Vazquez will come back. He's a true warrior, walking past us now. But yeah, not the best decision.
Because we have to say it's no slight on Matchroom, and there's no conspiracies there. It's no slight on Matchroom or no slight on really anyone, but the British board, they've said before we're going to hold judges accountable, but I mean, how many times can you hold judges accountable before it almost becomes laughable?
Yeah, I think there's levels to it as well, isn't there? Because obviously it's completely subjective scoring a fight, isn't it? So I'm not saying he was right, but I think there's been times where people have said he should have won it, and it was like a point here or there. And we're always going to have those. That's always going to be there.
Do we need that as well? Do you need that little bit of controversy every now and then with a swing of a point either way, I suppose?
Yeah, I think with that you can have a point either way quite easily. I could be watching something and see something completely different to you. Lewis Ritson believed he won the fight. So and his team did as well. Like I say, you will always have that. But when it scores like this and there's such a swing, that's not ideal.
Well, he did, I suppose, get the job done in one way or another, and he'll need to do a lot more than that, obviously, when he steps up to world level. Lewis will know that as well. His team will know that. But does that sort of put a damper on things? Because he was looking potentially to go and fight Regis Prograis, who's one of the best in the division. And with a performance like that, would there be question marks for Lewis and where he goes?
No, look, I think he still can. He's an exciting fighter, like he's shown in a number of his fights. He's got an exciting character, got a huge following. So those fights are still there for him. It's unfortunate because he hasn't done it. He's gone in there to box, and he's gone in there and he feels like he's done enough. He can't score the fight. He's not scoring the fight. It's not his job. I don't think it affects opportunities. If anything, if people thought he lost the fight, that makes people more willing to actually fight him. That's just normal in boxing. If you go, he didn't look as good as he has, it gives more opportunities for fights. So I think he's just got, he's got his WBA ranking number 2 at the WBA. He's not far off a world title there. We're obviously going to see probably the Ramirez against Taylor unification. So the belts will probably be locked up there for a period of time. But I'm sure, as always, when people when we have an undisputed or a unified champion, quite quickly the belts all become available again. So in time, I'm sure he will be close to fighting for a world title.
Just quickly go down the card a little bit. It was a night of shocks, wasn't it? I mean, it was a night where if you knew some of the fighters, I know like Mark Leach and guys like that have said they know a lot of people who's made a lot of money. I mean, Mark Leach looked like what a scalp case Ashfaq is as well, but he looked like a top level fighter. His movement and everything, he looked a real threat to the division.
Yeah, no, he did. It was an interesting fight actually. You thought it would have been a bit, it was cagey at points, but it was actually good to watch. Mark Leach did the job. A lot of people said, he had the talent to go in there and do that. But Kez Ashfaq, who was a standout amateur, came across. He was the favourite for tonight's fight. But another one, Kez Ashfaq's got to go away, build. He's recently joined Angel Fernandez, so I'm sure might take time to develop. And great win for Mark Leach. Amongst the strong stable as well. With Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis.
Yeah, because I saw Carl Frampton said on Twitter that he believes he's the most talented one in there. He just needed his opportunity. And another man who took his opportunity, Ryland Charlton. He's been on the small hall circuit around Norwich. Was quietly confident, kept himself to himself, let Joe do the talking. And it didn't look like a Joe Laws that we've seen of previous, but he was perhaps in there with a level higher than he's been before. And Ryland done the business. Yeah,
Ryland looked great. Joe Laws went to hospital. Hopefully, all fine. With him, it was just a precaution. Went to hospital, but Ryland Charlton went in there and did the job on the big stage. He had his opportunity and he took it. Fair play to him. I think he's got some big opportunities ahead of him now. I think he was 6-0 coming into tonight. He just looked the strong. He was the stronger man, and he showed that from the first round. So great win for him, and I'm sure, like I say, there's many big nights ahead for him.
Just a couple more. Thomas Patrick Ward, unlucky really because the way that swung the fight so much. I know there's a couple of people who thought Asomba could have nicked it, but the eye swung the fight so much. His eye almost was like hanging out at the end, so it was a tough night for him.
Yeah, no, it was a tough night. Asomba came in very late replacement, so there's both ways you can look at it. Thomas Patrick Ward had been training, for another fight for a long period of time. Obviously, he'd been waiting for this shot for 8-9 months since we were supposed to do the fight back in April. Asomba, who just came off the back of a fight against Sonny Edwards 3 weeks ago, he showed great strength. But not the way that fight should have ended. But again, Thomas Patrick Ward, he's healthy, safe, and both guys are okay. So that's all that matters on that.
And I suppose the most normal thing of the night was Ellie Scotty's debut. She looked like an Adam Booth fighter. She looked really, really good for someone who's going at it in the ring for the first time as a professional. And her left hand looks like it could take her somewhere. Yeah,
really impressive. Really good to watch. She's a great character and only 22 years old as well. So much to learn. And fair play to Beck Connolly as well. Because it takes two of them to get in there, and she showed a lot of toughness in there. So looking forward to seeing Ellie's career. It's going to be exciting.
Right, Frank. Thanks for.
We forgot one more. Kane Baker.
How have I not mentioned Kane Baker? Literally standing outside of his change room. And you know how much I love Kane Baker as well.
But
yeah.
You also said, well, one of the normal things of the night, Ellie Scotty.
Nothing to do with Kane Baker's normal, Frank. He was eating a full English 2 days ago.
Exactly. So no, but what I'm saying is, he wasn't supposed to. He came here, Shakespeare, as I called him. Was Tony's one of Tony's standout fighters. Had the opportunity going into tonight, but Kane Baker showed what he's all about, and fair play to him as well. He did the job.
It must be satisfying when you've got 2 days' notice, a 6-rounder, and it's an absolute war. I mean, how satisfying is that from a show perspective? Because you could pick someone and it could always be a stinker, and it was replacing a fight in Savannah Marshall and Hannah Rankin that a lot of fans were looking forward to. So when it's an absolute blinder, I imagine it's quite satisfying.
Yeah, no, for sure. Ultimately, we can do all the work. We can put the fights together. We can put the cards together. But it comes down to the fighters in there and, gelling. The fight's gelling. A lot of people, question some of the fights on this card, but it ended up being a great night of boxing, entertaining night of boxing throughout. So, as you say, to add a fight at late notice, 6-rounder like that, and it to be banging, fair play to Eddie, because that was his call the other day. A little bit of Twitter negotiating.
And now that is the end. Thanks for giving me some of your time, Frank, and I look forward to speaking to you sometime again, some sort of bubble, and I'm sure Kane Baker will probably be there as well, and I won't forget him this time.
Thanks for joining us in the bubble. It's been exciting, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Cheers, mate.
Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.